appreciate it, right? You know, it's really nice to be able to talk to you guys on this side of the desk, to avoid the stealthiness, avoid all the procedure and all of this. We're going to do a little question and answer today. So we want to talk about the NIA. Now, you know, I got to say, I'm used to being on the other side of the lecture hall. You know, I'm used to being in your guys' seat, taking all the notes and everything. So, you know, a little bit nerve-wracking standing up here in front of you guys. So I think the goal for this is to just do some direct questions. You know, we want to try to get to everybody, try to answer all the concerns and all the comments as to what this is, what's going on, what are the brass tacks about it. You know, there's always some information out there. Is it right? Is it wrong? We never know. We want to give you as much information as we have on this because we want you guys to understand and know what it is that we're talking about with this stuff. Now, before we do kind of get into this question and answer thing with all of this, we do have just a little bit of a lecture for you, right? So I want to introduce Caitlin Hayman. She's our city planner from Wade Trim. She's over 10 years doing municipal planning. In that time, she's dealt with over 25 jurisdictions, including our own Imlay Township, Armada Township, as well as Elmont, in dealing with all our planning issues and helping us out. She is a wealth of knowledge, a treasure trove of knowledge regarding anything municipal, and she can talk about this stuff in the broadest strokes and in the most minute of detail. So I want to turn over to her to give us a quick little overview about what this actually is before we get into our time. Please save all questions till the end of the presentation.
Who are you?
I'm Luke Stempian. I'm one of your commissioners here. And again, we're trying to keep this a very just informal thing. We want this to be super informal. We just want to answer all of your guys' questions. So we don't have to, we're not hiding behind the procedure, right? We want you guys to have the answers right away because with public comment time during our normal meetings, we can't do that. We can't have that back and forth. And I think there's been some disconnect there. So that's why we want to have this so we can answer some things. So, Caitlin, tell us what the NIA is.
Sure, and so the Neighborhood Improvement Authority, the NIA, that is one of the different taxing jurisdictions that you can establish in the state of Michigan.
Caitlin, would you mind standing up?
Oh, sure, sorry. Everyone can hear me okay?
Sure.
And so with this option, one of the things that we are considering is based on what we talked about in our master plan. So we adopted that earlier this year and talking about how there's increasing costs that is going on generally in the economy with inflation and things of that nature. We're not seeing a lot of new users, so we're not building a lot of new homes or things of that nature. And so there's a disconnect and a gap of funding to increasing in costing and how much we can pay for those different improvements. And so one of the things we talked about is the need for more housing. As part of that discussion. We need more rooftops if we want to get an Aldi, if we want to get the development that we talked about in our master plan as part of our community survey, those different public engagement and activities we did. The other part is we wanted it to stay a small town feel. Well, to still be a small town, you still need more houses because not as many people live in the same household numbers. So you have those who have smaller families, you don't have 6 people in a home anymore. You have 2 people, you have 1 person, you have 3 people, 4 people. And so you still need more houses to still maintain the population in rural areas. And so this is one of those options that we potentially looked at in our master plan as a funding mechanism. And so what the TIF district does as part of the Neighborhood Improvement Authority is to take whatever the percentage that you currently are on taxation, whatever happened last year, the year before that, that's a natural progression, that's highly regulated by the state of Michigan through the assessor's office. We do not change that formula. That stays how it is, and that's how it's sent down to us from the state. We follow all those processes. But what's going to happen is that we're going to capture a portion of what the county would normally receive. So what I'm going to bring up is a quick picture to kind of help show that. So the county is notified that we would like to collect that incremental tax from them, and they are a willing partner in this. And so what is doing is that whatever amount they get is being frozen. That's the base, so whatever their current taxation is, they're going to keep collecting that. It's not like they're no longer getting taxation from Imlay City residents. They still get that. It's just capped. As you see increases over time incrementally, those are then captured locally and maintained locally to then reinvest in our community rather than going incrementally still to the county. Our proposed plan is 30 years. And so in that 30 years, we would then have a discussion, what do we do with that process? but that's the intention, is that you get a payoff. By letting it local reinvestment, we get more return because you can have more projects, you can have that increase, you get the payoff at the end of that period of time. As part of the plan, one of the things it does is it lists a bunch of different responses as required by the state of Michigan to inventory, and then it has a list of potential long and short-term projects. The intention is these projects are listed broadly, because if you don't have it in your plan, then you cannot do it. And I don't have a magic crystal ball to say in 30 years we want yes, no, maybe. It's a lot of yeses and maybes. And so we want to make sure that the Neighborhood Improvement Authority, they have the discretion to evaluate which of these projects make sense and have the opportunity to evaluate those opportunities to say yes or no. So that's a little bit of the long and short of what the Neighborhood Improvement Authority is. They are not a regulatory authority, so they can't change zoning ordinances. That's the Planning Commission. That still has to have a blessing by the City Commission. Any ordinances or new rules, that's the City Commission blessing as well. They would be evaluating projects and prioritizing that through whatever that funding is there. And so with that, kind of just brief overview. I know it was hard at the last meeting to kind of go in depth on that. It wasn't articulated the best. I guess I want to open up the floor for other question and answers or things of that nature.
So first question would be, the money you're capturing, you're pretty much guaranteeing all taxes are going to go up because that's the money you're going to be after to capture. Am I correct or no? Not?
No,
Because it stays the same with the county. So you're only going to capture what the difference is from then till, 30 years from now, you'll capture all that difference from the taxes going up.
Okay, I'll handle this one. Dennis, there's only two things that we know in life, death and taxes. It's unfortunate, it's what happens. So with the taxes, with how that works, if your house, let's say your house is worth $100,000 right now, you have a certain tax that gets a portion because of that value. If then next year your house gets valued at $105,000, those taxes have gone up by, or that value has gone up by $5,000, and there's an extra tax on top of what you were already paying associated with that.
Yes.
From that little bit that's increased, as opposed to it going to the county, being prorated towards the county, it's that little piece that we get to keep here so that we get new roads, not Hadley, not Lapeer City. We get to do it for our stuff.
I get it. So is there ever a chance taxes would go the other way?
No, because it's percentage based, right?
I
So
just-
you vote
I mean,
those
hey,
in.
Something
Right
catastrophic
now,
would
things
have
are
to happen with
inflated
property
pretty high,
values.
so.
It
So,
would have to be like a 2009 property bubble, something catastrophic.
Okay.
I say, so the taxes going up and down have nothing to do with this. The taxes that we're paying, state tax, county tax, city tax, is all controlled by the state. We have no control unless we ask for a increase and vote for it as the city. The taxes will be normally, nothing will change, except a portion of the money that used to go to the county will stay in the city.
I have, here, question is this, say we vote this in, we use the money now. In the future, is there a payback? In the future, because now we say no taxes are going to be raised. But what could happen, and I'm not too sure, you can answer this, we take it now, we use the money now, come 2030, are we going to have to pay that back to the county anytime? If that happens, then we will have to raise taxes.
no,
That's what-
it isn't,
That's a good question.
correct. There is no retribution component
Yeah.
associated with that.
As she said, that, keep this in mind, if the county didn't want us to be able to say, we want to improve our parts of infrastructure, that commission, am I using the right word, who oversees the NIA, not us. Now, we understand it, but at that time, it never rises back to the county more. They just say it passes, if it passes. We're not even saying it's passing. If it passes 2006, we get to start collecting the portion that the county would have gained.
The extra,
The proration never changes, that I know. They would get that extra, they don't get it anymore. We keep it here, the NIA oversees the projects that are most important.
You know, what always stayed in my mind is an old saying, and I know he's heard it way longer than I have. Nobody gives you something for nothing. See? And that's the part that I'm trying to figure out.
Sure.
What is that
So-
something we're giving up?
So there's that 30-year time frame, and then you can see where it goes full darker yellow. The buy-in for the county letting us keep some of this local capture, to then get that payoff for them later, is to see that development. So taxes are reevaluated, you have the purchase and selling of property. Change in ownership, you can reset some caps. The assessor is better at explaining that than I am. But
You're not
the other
answering
thing you
question.
see is that there's a major increase in development. So there's a big taxation difference between a commercial vacant lot and ones that actually put a building and infrastructure into it. So with this local investment, you then get the payoff because that project happened when it otherwise wouldn't have been able to. And it could be for maintaining our current infrastructure, it could be building new infrastructure. The NIA's committee is gonna figure out where that's distributed, but that's the payoff for the county long-term is you're able to invest locally to keep property taxes higher than they otherwise would have been without this fiscal contribution.
In a different answer, it's an investment. It's an investment for the county.
Yeah, and, you know, investment goes up and down. But, and you're right, I could see where this investment, and I could see the purpose for its use. But one of the things about, again, city growth, building in new homes, and they seem to be targeting new homes. It seems like we're there, like we're targeting new homes. We're not looking at adding it to the citizens that are already here that are paying the county taxes. So it's like, even though we're keeping it here, we don't get to really enjoy it because it's going to these rooftops. And so once the money gets paid to the contractors, whoever they're contractors, the landowners, after we spend the money to build up their area and we do all this, the money's spent. Now, we build homes and currently house prices are upwards about $300,000. Does not sell here in Illinois. So when we get these contractors and they come in and, you know, they're coming in with the idea that they're going to make money. And for them to make money, they're going to build homes upwards about $300,000. So when these houses don't get filled, because even though we're looking for all these employees do not make enough money to support a $300,000 home. All these may bring in more taxes that we bring into the city. But where the fallacy is in that plan is that is because we're happen to be located in an area where people have to travel for work. And we're hoping that people will want to come from down city, because I actually work in Warren, and these other areas, they want to come and live in inland. But the thing that draws people that work down the city is because it's a small town.
I want to give you clarity. I want to see if I can answer, because I really want to make sure if there's any other questions. And if I don't answer what I think you're asking, please say you didn't answer it. No, but let me see if I can address both of the issues, I think. And correct me if I'm wrong. After doing my research and looking into this, you're saying it's just going to go to development of new construction. I don't believe that is true. What's amazing about this program, and again, the NIA commission that will actually be overseeing the funds that start to slowly increase. I don't know about you, but my taxes have never gone down. They're gonna go up anyways. Now, the county is saying you can keep this portion and use it in your community right outside that DDA in the Emily city limits. So let's just say we have somebody that's struggling, they need a new roof on their house. They can't go to the bank and get funds for it, because you're gonna pay about right now 6.5%, 7% interest, right? The NIA can come to them and offer a low interest loan to them. Can't give it to them, that's against the, I think
That's not how we have it structured.
that's not how it's structured in NIA. But now we can help people, might need siding, might need some improvements exterior to bring the values of all the houses up, which helps everybody, right?
And it's not just increasing the value, it's increasing the safety, it's increasing your standard of living.
Your whole area is not being, so then I'll address the other thing.
No, you're fine.
You are correct, I hope I answered that, but you're right. All these will not, most of the jobs in our area city limits, most of the jobs are usually a secondary job, or there's two household incomes. Somebody may work at Toilet Seat, but somebody else is working, because as most you know, two-income families is about the only place you can make it, right? It's hard to make as much. So yes, it's available to them. They come and they fill out an application. It's a low rate interest, and so it gets their houses improved. And if that helps, I hope that answered your question. It's not just for new development.
Yeah, yes, it did. But I'm gonna just add to that.
Yeah, you're fine.
Is that one of the things I keep hearing, and the reason I was gonna get to that point, but you got to it before I did, I'm probably
Sorry about that.
doing the long run, is that, that's the other thing I mentioned at the meeting we were there. I mentioned, helping people within the community. That's why I said it seemed like we're not getting the help. We're not hearing, well, we're planning to create a program for people that do need, and what everything he should say that we repeat it. So it would help if we would have added those facts into this and to factor these things into it, that's what we're planning to do. I'm hearing this, I'm hearing new development, I'm hearing land ownership, and again, that's awesome. I mean, transparency is this. Honestly, Mayor, and people who work for the city, before this came up, I was pretty happy to see what I was seeing. I saw a lot of development, saw my grandkids playing in the splash pad, I saw the roads being done over here, the sewage being done. I'm like, whoa, we're doing good. Of course, I did want to if you're making enough taxes, and I know taxes went up, but I was pretty content. What brought me out of my seat, because I thought we were creating another form of government that was going to hold citizens under their thumb, and that's what brought me into it.
No, that's a good point.
Until we saw this, until I heard this. And then one of the things I understand now is that we're trying to raise money to create a development, even future development. And that's where I'm gonna leave it at for everybody else who wants to.
Yeah, just a feedback on that. It might be another three-letter word, but it's not an HOA. This is very
It's
different.
not an HOA.
There are no rules that are saying that you can paint your house this
No.
color, right?
That's already pretty much in effect within our city.
And when that financing new development, and then a builder is gonna build his own houses for his own money.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But I thought, hold up, can you wait one second? I thought somebody up here, I think, didn't you have your hand up?
The NIA puts a lien on your home though if you borrow this money.
No.
No.
So what happens if
No.
they default?
Normally when you go to the bank on a first or second, yes. But, is that correct?
I mean, in the case of default, it's just like any other civil
They have
forfeiture.
to, you have to be collectible. Can I just say it that way? The bank's gonna get their first money. If there's a second, they'll get their second. If there's any left over, if the person's collectible, then yes, the NIA would get the
You're
money.
dealing with the bank, the city is taking their money and taking a portion of the county money aside to be used by us in the city in certain ways. Your house has no extra added anything. It's gonna be like it normally is. The only thing changed is some of your tax money in the future will be used in this other group to finance streets, curbs, whatever. We have enough money, we're doing fine now, I think.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
But
We're talking
to-
about question, that was streets and lights, and then you're talking about roofs and siding, and,
No,
so you're talking about
Well, maybe
two totally different things, because you're talking
That's
about
right.
an individual.
That's because he brought up it's not available to anybody that might need help, and it is. That doesn't, again, the NIA
Is that a local
commission,
agency?
they're the ones that will say, what's the most important project for your community, right? I think she had her hand up.
And
Go ahead.
then we have to establish those programs and
Yes.
those rubrics, and then and that's something that the NIA group is going to do, and then look at each
Over
of
here,
those
right here.
applications.
I just have a concern, so you said that it's not gonna raise our property taxes, but it is, the point of it is to raise our property value, which will then increase property taxes, perhaps at a faster rate than they would normally increase. This could also make it harder for people to pay their property taxes. It might be certain people will be priced out of paying their property taxes because of the increased property value. By investing money into the community is always great, this is going to invest a lot higher amount of money into the community than we normally would be.
So there still is the cap of an every individual races, so that still stays the same,
That's by
so.
law, that's by law.
And so even if it, from year to year, that's a capped component. And so the biggest return on investment is in the NIA is where you see the most return on investment is new construction.
Yeah.
That's usually where you see the most component. And that's one of those things that when we're picking those projects, you can put strings attached, because if you have money in it, then you can put strings attached. You could say, we want a diversity of housing. It can't just be this price point. It has to include these other price
Who
points.
gets to make that decision?
The NIA.
The NIA.
Right.
Board.
You don't have a say in the NIA.
Perfect.
So one of,
Why don't you address that? I think that's an issue. Can you address how that will all be put into effect if it passes?
yep, so the first step is that we're looking to do is to get and to create it. And so that's not up for the commission to decide tonight. We're gonna go into further discussion on it. So it's anticipated to be discussed at the December 2nd, to vote actually on if we're going to create it, establish it, and then adopt those plans. The intention is that this is gonna be a 7-member board. On December 15th, so after that approval denial, we're gonna have an application available for those who can be part of that. Now, the NIA, you have to have a own property, have a business interest. It requires under state statute, there's one member that has to be a resident within the NIA, or at least within a half mile. And so those are the two statutory requirements, or 2 or 3 statutory requirements. At least one has to be a resident, but we're having it be 7 members total. So, and then in January, the city commission is gonna look at all of those applications we receive and then say who is going to serve.
City council will make that decision.
Correct.
Just like with every other.
So I want to make sure
City council
I want to make sure you
makes
got that question answered. It's one, correct me if I'm wrong, inside the city limits, at least one, that has a
Has to be
vested
one.
interest. Does that make sense?
And the
But
other 6.
The others they still have to be, correct me if I'm wrong, within Imley City Township in that area.
But the city commission.
We're not gonna go to Lapeer and have somebody tell,
Why do we want township to make?
because
You don't have to.
township pays
Just-
taxes.
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
They could all be in the city.
Like anybody
Choice.
here that has any property within the Imley city districts outside the DDA, in the township, we want you to serve.
Township as well. Township as well?
Yeah.
You could.
So we want, here's the thing, we're not gonna make that decision.
I'm on.
My taxes are gonna go up whether we do this or not. So if it passes or it doesn't, that it's still gonna go. But now, that's how it's set up. They get to apply for it and put in an application later if it passes on the
Tom,
side.
could
So
we,
in January, the city commission's gonna decide who gets to serve. If
Yeah.
it's gonna say, we want at least 4 to be residents, so it's a majority, and then 3 can be prominent business owners, own property in the township, they can decide who serves.
How long do they serve?
So there's incremental terms, so you don't have everyone on and off. So some of the members will serve 4 years, and so and the next set will have 3 years, next set will have 2, next set will have 1. And so that way we have a cycle of.
Then after that,
You have a
it
cycle.
becomes a 4-year term, so we
Yeah.
start splitting it again.
So we want you there. I'm not, I don't wanna apply for this. Can't.
So on your original plan, you already had 3 names listed as board members, but now they're scratched out. So are they not board members then, or was that just an
No.
example?
That was a boilerplate kind of, oh, these people were in mind, though they had not been
They're not.
formally put on those boards, that we
No.
need to establish it before we do it. And so, correct, they are being taken off of the
Because I
draft.
think, in my personal opinion, it shouldn't be anybody that's already on the DDA board, or the Chamber of Commerce, or, married to somebody on the commission, or any of that stuff.
Sure.
That's just my opinion.
Fill out an application. We'd love to have you do
I have
that.
one more question, and I.
Well, I think Earl did it. Can I go to Earl first and then back?
That's fine, that's fine.
Earl?
That's fine.
Yeah, I got it. One's an observation. The gentleman here said be a minuscule or a minor, small
Increment.
amount of increment value on a given home that we capture from the county. That's not entirely total. I'm not going to. The bottom line is, we're talking about anything that increases value on the taxes, which would increase, which would include every single home or property that gets sold within the district. And right now, most homes that get sold, your taxes are doubled. And you know that, Tom,
Well,
because they're uncapped.
exactly, but that's how it goes.
I know, but
Yeah,
I just want to correct,
okay.
the statement. It's not gonna be minuscule, it's not gonna be minor.
But you're talking about an apple.
Per
No,
person.
wait, no, hold on.
That has nothing
Seriously.
to
Hey,
do with
Stu,
this.
Stu, hold on one
Your
second.
taxes will double whether this goes
No,
in or
I'm
not.
not talking about
Stu.
the property owner's
So
tax.
listen, it's an apple and an orange. That baseline, let's say I sell my house in 2 years. By the way, mine will not double. I sold my house to my daughter sold her house to her brother. That didn't come uncapped, but when I built a new one, it doubled for me. But let's just say I've lived in my house 20 years, and it doubles. It's gonna double whether this passes or not. But when it doubles, the baseline still stays the same for that house. When it doubles, that's an increase for Emily City.
I understand it. All I'm saying, I just tried to correct the statement. This is not going to be minuscule monies that you're gonna be dealing with.
But minuscule in what he said is minuscule when you sell your house and it comes uncapped. This has nothing, NIA has nothing to do
This
with
has
that.
nothing to do, whether this goes in or not, your house is gonna
You're not-
double and your taxes are gonna double.
I understand you folks are all for it, but would you listen, please? Please
I'm trying.
listen a little bit.
I'm trying.
If a person's taxes on his house right now is $2,000,
Yep.
and you've been in the house for 10 years, the tax that the new owners are gonna pay is gonna be about $4,000.
So,
And that $2,000 is gonna be that minuscule you're talking about going into this fund.
no,
Sure it is.
no, Earl, it's not.
But the new homes you're building, the new homeowners, they're gonna be faced with a taxable value of $185,000.
But they will be regardless if
Well, you want to
NIA
build these new
passes.
homes though, but these new homes.
You
are so
can't build a
expensive.
new home for under $200,000.
But you're not addressing what I'm trying to say.
I think I know what you're saying, I think we're saying it different.
Anything that creates an increase in taxable value is captured.
Yep, so that would be put in, you're
So,
correct that
if
it
you got a
would be
home
put
that's
in
there, been
locally.
there for the last 20 years, and it's sold, right now, the taxes will be doubled to the new owner. That extra $2,000, and
I hear you loud and clear.
that,
You're fine, I hear what you're saying, I agree, okay?
okay?
But the percentage, those still all go to those parties, we're only collecting.
I understand.
Okay, all
All I'm
right, fair
saying,
I see what you're
there's gonna be a lot of
It's-
money. Now,
For somebody to sell their house
moving on
and
to
a new
that,
owner.
all right,
You're fine.
what about the schools?
Schools will get the same amount.
Just don't
They-
touch the school tax.
So
That's
their
not-
percentage
doesn't-
still, so
doesn't-
as a
yeah,
change
that's
in
a good
ownership,
question.
it's the percentage the school gets, they also increase because it's percentage based.
Only,
Taxation is
only a
percentage
portion of
based.
the county tax, a portion of the county tax we will keep. We will keep the police, we will keep the emergency. What else? A couple others.
There's 5.
Everything else we're not.
Yeah, in certain areas, which is what the county will continue to get. One portion of it they will not, and we will get that.
Yeah. So Dennis had his hand up a long time ago, and then this gentleman back here did, and then she did, okay?
I just want to ask, Tom, I heard you mention that this will be overseen by a group at the county. Can you tell us who the group would be at the county that would be advising?
If I said that, I misspoke. It's the
Oh.
NIA that oversees this.
Okay, so no,
The county
no
does not.
county, no.
What
county-
happens is if this ever passes, okay, you have you build them, right? She'll build them in a different way from that point on, where they're capturing what they get now. And if this passes, then you'll have a new formula of what you build them for, then they pay it. But no, if I said that, I was wrong.
But that's-
County does not oversee this.
Okay, so there's no oversight
Nope.
of NIA.
Well,
So
go ahead and
the-
say it.
the
Yeah, wait,
city-
hold on.
so
Hold
the
on a second.
city-
There is oversight only because of this.
So the city commission still authorizes the amount that the NIA can spend per year. They are still in control of the purse strings. But the NIA is going to say, okay, we got this pot of money, what do we want to spend it on?
Or do we want to spend it?
Or do we want to spend it? But if they're bringing it to us and it's important, right? Can I give you a little example? I want to hear what you have to say.
I just want
Do
to
you
piggyback
remember?
up- Oh, sorry.
Yeah, do you remember if you were here a couple weeks ago and I guess maybe I was the bad guy, but do you remember when Frank needed a couple extra bucks, which I shouldn't say it's a couple extra bucks, it was a lot, and we asked, is it in the fund? Yes, but it's not the line item. I didn't think that should go. Amy Plank in Croswell, I talked to her after, and the NIA up there, I asked her, what do you think? And she goes, if that would came to be, the NIA could have funded that extra and that project would have went forward. If the NIA, they're gonna fill out an application, hey, we want this extra money, we need it to finish the parks and rec. If the NIA brings it to us, we're like, that's fine, it didn't come out of the general fund. Does that make sense? It's a positive in many aspects.
Just to piggyback off Dennis on his
Yes.
comment, are we being advised, or is the NIA board being advised by Weight Trim, or is Weight Trim sitting back after we built this proposal and plan and saying, hey, you 7 members, you guys are making the full decisions, here's your money, here's your scope of work you wanna do in the next 30 years? Like, how is that going about?
So-
Wade Trim is an advisory.
Let Wade Trim answer that question.
So we haven't been contracted to work with the NIA beyond the creation and development of the development plan. And so
that's a good
typically, what would happen is you would work on your current city staff. So you would still utilize your DPW director to say, hey, you want these improvements paid for, you're the house of that, what do you recommend? Eventually, maybe to have an economic development person that, like the DA has an executive director, maybe once there's enough funding, maybe you need that. Maybe that's something that's negotiated with another city staffer, they take on that responsibility. We're not there yet in that actual envisioning, but the intent would be is you use current city staff to manage that.
So then Weight Trim would step back after,
Oh, yeah.
if
Correct.
this got passed through,
Correct.
Weight Trim says, we did our portion, let's finalize it, call it good.
Right, good question, right here.
Just really quick, where you redlined on the millages that were gonna be captured,
Yes.
it still shows the city millage being captured. So are we actually diverting funds from the city general fund into this new NIA fund?
So it's gonna be capped, what the typical general city funds.
So it's not just county funding we're pulling from, it's also from the general fund?
Correct. Yep.
So what happens when we have this new development and we need a larger police force? Who funds that? Is it coming out of the general fund or is it coming out of the NIA fund?
That's what I'm asking.
And that's gonna be a city commission discussion.
Okay, so it can be, that was my question, it can be used for salary. Can these be used for salary? Can NIA funds, will it be used for anybody's salary? Like, say we need more policemen in our city group, will that be used for that purpose? Or say somebody, the cost of living went up, we need to raise, people need to get paid more.
Sure, so
So if-
some communities, what they do is they, will have a certain portion that NIA fund will pay for certain services. So sometimes they do like a fire service fee or a police service fee out of the NIA to then
Okay,
make the
so
other thing
it's a
whole.
roundabout way.
But we're not there yet in that decision-making process.
But
But there will be not growth in the general fund based on rising property values. Correct?
Correct, because the incremental increase would then be reallocated to the NIA, that's correct.
Okay, so that's a roundabout way, because they're gonna charge us certain, okay, I understand that we raise. But the other question is, would you please give the synopsis who this gentleman mentioned, you guys are part of? Who did you say they were part of?
Weight Trim.
Weight Trim.
Give us an idea of who they are. I don't think anybody knows their organization.
You did.
Give us a little, well, I didn't quite understand, if you could say, hey, this is who they were. They were started by the state of Michigan, or.
Yeah,
Can
so
you
Raytrim
give
is a
us an
private,
understanding? It's a private-
consulting firm.
No,
Next Stu, she's gonna answer.
Yeah, so we're a
You are, so
consulting,
you work for them.
I work for them, yes.
Okay, so you have an, this is what I'm trying to get out of you. So, did you guys know she worked for them? Okay, you guys, okay, so you have an interest on their behalf to make sure this thing gets passed?
No.
No?
No.
No.
Okay, well, go ahead.
I was
talk.
directed to
I'm
develop
just-
the plan, to
Okay.
be state statutory and then use best practices in it. And so I'm directed by different city staff members. We think
Gotcha.
these projects should be in it. We think that these are the different components and projects that make sense based on the master plan. What are some other things you think should be put in there, and then moving that forward. So-
I had to ask you that, because that's what people are questioning, he mentioned this, I thought it was a big idea for them to understand as well myself.
Okay.
Right here?
Yes.
So, sorry, explain.
You're fine.
How does Wade Trim make money? We're a
There you go.
licensed consulting firm, how do you get paid?
So we provide the labor that then puts together the plan. So I'm paid hourly to facilitate, provide advice, things of that nature.
Let me explain it. Every 5 years, we're required as a city to upgrade and send into the state our plan, 5-year plan. It takes a professional to do it. She and several other, her company and several other companies are companies that come aboard usually for a few months or depending on, for that job alone. And when they're advisors to the city on how to do things legally, basically, right?
Yeah, but don't put the lawyer attached to that, not a
Yeah,
lawyer.
okay. And we hire them usually once every 5 years, and whether they stay 3 months, 6 months, a year, depending on what has to get done. And then, actually, in another 4 years, we'll go out on quote maybe, or pick somebody else, or pick them again.
So whose idea was the NIA to begin with?
This planning commission. The planning commission put a whole new plan together, they looked into this, correct? And then they brought it before us, and I think it was February 25th, we granted them unanimous vote to look into it and bring us a plan.
Tom, I seen it started in 2023. I seen an article where NIA was talked about in 2023.
Not mine. You
Well,
have,
that's
you
what
have,
it could have been.
yeah, the
Well,
minutes.
that's what I mean, it was
all of
before
it.
you
What's
guys.
that?
It actually started before our,
No, we've never consulted with anybody else to my knowledge.
not you guys, I'm just saying the NIA, I believe what I seen was talked about in 2023 before you guys were on the board.
Well, we could look into that easily for you, but on February 25th, 2025, discussed with planning commission
Yeah.
meeting during the master
See, that was
update,
good.
so that's 2025.
Yeah, and if that's it,
Yes,
that's
that's
good.
fine.
If
Yeah,
that's
we can
fine.
look into that, absolutely. But nothing was ever discussed from the standpoint of putting something in play.
Does the NIH board have the ability to borrow? And if they do, when they default, who absorbs the debt?
So one of the things that with the NIA, because it's not the city, it is a
Correct.
subsidiary of the city, they cannot bond beyond what they can collect. And so in a way, they can't defunct, and they cannot incur city debt because they cannot, and that's how state statutes regulated in that way.
Cash deal only.
So if we only had 50,000, I don't know if it would pass, we can't go beyond 50,000, or we don't even have to spend the whole 50,000. The NIA that oversees that, those 7 individuals, that could be some of you, would say, these are the most important. Now, we're not really recommending that it all be spent, but can we do this now? And we save 15 for next year because we think we might need something over here. So no, you can't go out, we can't.
So they can't borrow
No.
outside of the
No.
parameters that were set?
Nope, only money in
According
there.
to my research, they can sell bonds for projects on future income. They can put bonds out there for 30 years, the NIA.
Up to 120 million.
Whoa.
So whatever you're proposed to collect within the period of that 30-year collection.
Yeah, so you can borrow against that, but you're supposed
But you have,
to,
that
But you
has
still
to
have
be
to
with
prove
council.
that we can make that much money.
but it can be done.
I never heard of that.
You can mortgage your future.
That would also require
I
the
thought
city
when he
commission to
asked
come
it,
and
he
approve
said
that,
borrow.
allow that to happen.
Borrow a mortgage.
But it's 2 different terms, and I'm not an attorney, but what I'm saying is, to answer his question, NIA can't go out and borrow money. We can utilize our money, but what is projected to be collected could be bonded. But what's collected is gonna be
So
collected.
I didn't word it right.
So, yeah,
So
I'm sorry,
basically, yeah, you can-
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I understand what you say now, but
Yeah.
yes, and no.
Now,
So,
the question I have now is, we've had issues, the state of Michigan, the governor's gone crazy and giving money to the NDEC on 4 different projects and lost our money. The big one was up in Big Rapids area, okay? She promised $750 million. That's $750 million. It could have gone to the roads. But that went bust. They put probably $250 million into that. Sandisk wanted to come to the Genesee County area. They pulled up after money was invested. Okay, and it goes on and on. Ford in Korea, South Korea, same thing. They got tens of millions of dollars, and it's done, it's gone. And it doesn't appear that any of those funds are gonna be clawed back by the state of Michigan for the taxpayers. Now, is this NIA going to be of mind to, for instance, the 40 acres that Tom Stoll owns, I understand it's gonna be developed, now wants to be developed. Is this NIA going to invest in making it shovel-ready, as the state used to call it? Or,
That'd be up to the board of the NIA,
but it's something that they could do.
if they thought it was important.
And
What
then
I'm getting at is, I don't think the taxpayers, and I don't care where the money comes from, how you rub it, through. I don't think that our responsibility, or the city, or the NIA, is to improve that 40 acres. Bring the utilities to their closest corner, and that's it. Okay?
Yep.
But would the NIA, the way it's structured, be able to improve property so that they could magnetize and bring people in? Okay?
Give tax breaks to developers.
Yeah.
That thing.
Tax breaks and cash for, they use it, bring it to shovel ready. I just don't
And now you're
believe it.
talking about the additional employees, because now somebody's gotta maintain streets, which isn't gonna come out of the general fund anymore, because there's not more money there.
But that bothers me, this is a microcosm of what the state has done, right? Are we gonna learn from that, say, no, we're not gonna do that? Or,
Right, and we get to articulate what that program and application looks like. We can say, we're only gonna do loans for gap funding. If there's a project and they need whatever the case is, we could only say, we're not giving you money. We're gonna give you a loan. And we can figure out what those mechanisms are, so we're not holding the bag. I believe that is the members that are gonna be on that NIA, that is something that we don't want. Nobody collectively wants your money to just be essentially nothing. There are gonna be a variety of different projects, and we really need to see what an applicant comes forward with, what are they asking for, and why are they asking for it, and evaluate it based on those merits.
wouldn't it now be the time to set up parameters on the overall parameters, before handing it over to a board of 7 or 9, wouldn't now be the time
Other
to
than,
say, okay, we're not gonna do this, and this we will do this. Learn from the state of Michigan and say, okay, we're not gonna be the state of Michigan.
so the city commission could initiate that as soon as we create it, but we don't wanna create a policy for something that's not gonna come into
I
effect.
understand that.
But yes, the city commission, as soon as it's created, could say, we're gonna create a NIA policy regarding the evaluation of projects that you're going to do. And that could be something the city commission does, that could be something done jointly with the NIA and get a blessing from the city commission. We can structure it that way.
They could work together as 2 boards, 2 commissions. That's a good point.
I think the
Very good.
problem stems from the community doesn't trust you guys. They don't trust the board members, they don't trust our city manager, they don't trust that you guys have our best interest on the table. So when you guys are bringing this up, this could be the greatest thing ever, but because the majority of the community doesn't trust you guys, we wanna know why you're doing it. It would be so different if we all trusted you individually and all together, that you guys cared about the taxes we're already paying, because they're the highest in Lapeer County. Like, it's insane.
Mhm.
But if you guys brought that up, that this is a problem, what can we do to help? That's never the thing. We never feel like it's actually to help us. We don't feel like you guys are here for us.
This is why I think you guys should make it a point. We're going to hire within the city, the community, because we can build that trust back.
But again, you guys are doing this and then it's out of our hands,
You know,
right? We have no say
With
in
all due
this.
respect, I've been on this commission for 1 year. I'd love to talk with you later, but we probably only have about 5-6 minutes. If there's something I have personally done that was wrong, I'll address it. But I'm telling you right now, everybody in this room feels the same things about taxes and governments and government employees.
But also, everybody also agrees that they don't trust
I
who's in
live
charge
in
of
Lee
this stuff.
City.
But you're on the board, so that
It
doesn't matter.
doesn't, I pay over $6,500 a year just in taxes.
That's crazy.
I care for
Well,
the
I
city.
pay more than that.
Well, I'm okay with that. I understand. All I'm saying is, we can try to work together. There's so many people I know in the industry of real estate that would love to see, can we do something about getting the tax down?
Tom,
I don't know how that happens.
How are they gonna capture money on $6,500 if they go up? Are you gonna stay in town if they go to 7 or 8,000
I
because they
can't
need to
answer that
capture?
question, but my point is, my taxes are gonna go up whether we have the NIA or not. And we don't even know if it's gonna be approved. But thank you very much for saying it, because I think that is some people's
Concerning.
thought.
I think that
can't
is
say,
the pushback from it.
I can't specifically say it's a majority or not, but I hear what you're saying, and I'm sorry.
I think that there needs to be a communication that you guys try to build a relationship with the community.
Hey,
Because there is a strong disconnect.
You let me know how we can do that, and I'll do the best I can to do it, seriously.
Right now, what
I will.
you're doing, answering
I will.
questions, this helps with staff, rather than giving us a 3-minute timer. If we could have more meetings, more outreach from you
Sure.
to the community to do more stuff like this, that would help gain trust
Okay.
in the community.
I mean, no offense, Tom, but you're a realtor. So you being the one up there pushing this plan.
I'm not,
that-
you
you're
said
being a-
pushing.
Okay, being a spokesperson for this plan,
I'm
you're
not a
the one that
spokesperson.
benefits ultimately from rising property values in the community.
I will benefit
As a realtor selling homes here?
if I could sell something. I don't sell homes. I don't sell homes.
You don't,
I
or
do commercial real
buildings.
estate.
Okay, is there not commercial property included in the
Does
NIA
anybody
area?
here in the meeting work in construction?
Is
You
there
could
commercial
benefit. You
property?
could benefit. You could benefit. You could benefit.
But none of them have a vote on this. You do.
I'm one
That's a
person.
conflict of interest though. You should be recusing yourself from the conversation, period.
That has nothing to do with the NIA. I appreciate you. I really do. There was a gal back here that hasn't been able to say anything yet.
I have a couple questions. Is there a pilot program, like say 30 years is a long time? And I was just wondering what other communities have done this? And I know you were talking about doing your history and looking at it. And I know it was on the master plan, but then you had the draft on the website, but then it was taken down. And I was looking at it before it was taken down, and it was talking about using capture money to ensure reliable and affordable electrical services for the city. That totally, it's like something totally away from neighborhood improvement. So there's a lot of different things that are being tossed around probably. And on the draft were just ideas? Okay.
Yes, and so one of the things that I recommend that once you first start getting that group assembled, you have regular meeting dates, is you meet quarterly, and the first thing you do is you say, all right, what is our 5-year plan? You can take the estimates of what that first 5 years is and say what projects make the most sense to kind of either save for, or at least say, we're gonna create a facade improvement program for residents. Because the list is intended to be all-inclusive of ideas people had either in our stakeholder interviews that we had, talking to different entities, saying, we think this is a potential concern, or not. But that's something that in the draft, we could remove it if it's 110%, no, we never want to do this. As opposed to if it's not in the plan, then you have to go through an amendment process to redo it all. And so that's the purpose of it. It's not saying that we have to do this. It's the idea that incrementally, these are projects that are of ideas.
So that was an idea that was put in the master plan, and then is it voted on publicly, or is it voted on with the commissioners for this to be adopted, or?
So the master plan is voted by the planning commission, then the city
This
commission.
project for the,
So the NIA would be the one looking over and saying, we're going to explore creating that municipal utility company, if that was to be a project that was a priority. I would presume though that you would probably want to have a council member as part of that. And I don't know that this commission or a future commission would want somebody to go overly rogue. In which we would say, we would like to have a check-in because that is controversial and that's not working. I know the DDA's done that in the past. And so I think that's building that trust that was talked about and making sure that there's always ears listening and seeing how do we need to take a second and then reevaluate.
I have a question regarding the county press November article that said activities of the NIA may be financed by a bunch of stuff, and it says special assessments. Who would be specially assessed? Would that be homeowners?
So, sure, so one of the project potentials, let's say if there is the Stolt property, if they want to have a water line extended there, we could say we're going to special assess that property to pay for that improvement. So that way, no, they don't need the money up front, but we will get it incrementally over time, so then you're not left holding the bag. It's still set onto that property to pay for that improvement for that project. And so special assessments have their own legal criteria in which everyone is notified as part of that special assessment. There's a notice that has to be put in for the paper. And so if there's a special assessment, there is another legal process that goes through. It's not the board decides and then all of a sudden it's special assessed. It goes through its own legal process.
But there's a potentiality that even though your taxes aren't being raised, you could have a special assessment for any myriad of reasons that's being.
It has to be capital improvement related for special assessments. And so usually it's most used for water and sewer expansions or it's road projects or things of that nature.
But it could affect the homeowner next to another homeowner.
Only if you're affected by that physical improvement. So if
that
it's,
could affect your bottom line.
Yeah.
Like as a taxpayer.
Yep, so if it's the special assessments on Stoltz property, it only affects Stoltz property.
Sewage, water and sewer.
Hey folks, I hate to do
Yes,
this,
so if it was
but we
explained.
gotta get set up for the city commission meeting in 8 minutes. So,
I'll be
thank
out
you.
in the hallway if anyone does have further questions. I don't have as much of a role, so. Okay. Do you guys want this up at all?
I'm not sure we did. So thanks again, everybody, for coming out for the question and answer. Please feel free to stick around for our normal commission meeting. Public comment will still be open for public comment. It won't just be the same way we had this though.